The world isn't what they tell you it is. Right now, in the shadows, there are powerful forces moving, pulling strings, rewriting history, controlling minds, and you were never meant to notice. But tonight, we're ripping back the curtain on 10 of the most disturbing conspiracy theories, stories that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. Fair warning, you probably shouldn't watch this alone, and if there's any of these that you want to see a deep dive into, let me know in the comments. Number 10, the phantom time hypothesis. Kicking things off at number 10 is a theory that doesn't just question a moment in history, but time itself. It's called the phantom time hypothesis, and it's the eerie idea that we're all living a lie. The theory first emerged in 1991 from a German historian named Herbert Illig, who made a truly bold claim. Nearly 300 years of the early Middle Ages, specifically 614 to 911 AD, never happened. They were just invented. So why would anybody do this? Well, according to Illig, the whole scheme was cooked up by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II. Their motive? They allegedly wanted to manipulate the calendar so they could rule during the very prestigious year of 1000 AD. And to pull it off, he claimed they ordered scribes to forge mountains of documents, essentially inventing 297 years of history from nothing. This means that historical figures we know, including the legendary Charlemagne, might be nothing more than phantoms in a story created to legitimize a ruler's power. Now, mainstream historians completely reject this idea, pointing to tons of contradictory evidence from all over the world, including astronomical records, tree ring data, and historical accounts that all confirm these years existed. But the theory still lingers, and it taps into a deep fear that our entire understanding of reality could be a carefully built illusion. Because if you can invent 300 years, what else in our history books are total fiction? Number 9, the Mandela Effect. At number 9, we have a phenomenon that many of you have probably heard about, and it might make you question your own memory. It's called the Mandela Effect, which is the name for when a huge number of people all share the same false memory. The term was coined in 2009 by paranormal researcher Fiona Broom after she realized that she and countless others vividly but incorrectly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison back in the 1980s. In reality, he passed away in 2013. And this isn't a one-off thing. Do you remember the Berenstain Bears? Because millions of people do, and they swear it was spelled with an E. But if you look it up, it's always been Berenstain with an A. And I've seen people post online pictures of the old VHS tapes that have it with an E, books that have it with an E. It's crazy, but everybody swears it's always been with an A. Or how about the evil queen in Snow White? Everyone quotes mirror, mirror on the wall, but the actual line is magic mirror on the wall. Even one of the most famous movie lines ever, Luke, I am your father, is wrong, because Darth Vader actually says, no, I am your father. The explanations for this range from simple collective misrememberings to much wilder theories about parallel universes bleeding into our own. The truly creepy part is seeing just how many people share these specific false memories. It feels like a glitch in our shared reality, a subtle rewriting of the past that's left behind a faint, disturbing echo in our minds. It's almost like we're living in a simulation. Or is it proof that the world isn't as solid as we think? Number 8, the hollow earth. For our 8th theory, we're going from the fabric of time to the very center of our planet. The hollow earth theory is an ancient idea that just won't go away. It suggests that our world isn't a solid ball of rock, but a hollow shell. And inside of that shell is a massive space, maybe even a whole other world. Now, this isn't some new idea. You can find traces in the myths of countless ancient cultures have stories about their ancestors emerging from inside of the earth. And in the 19th century, an American named John Sims even campaigned for it, convinced there was this lush, undiscovered world right under our feet. But the really creepy part is the modern spin. Believers say there are huge openings at the North and South Pole that curve inward, leading into this hidden world. Some even claim governments know about these entrances and that they're used by UFOs as secret bases. While we might have seismic data and a pretty solid understanding of gravity that debunks the idea of a hollow planet, the theory survives, and it speaks to a primal fear of what lies below and the terrifying possibility that we're all just walking on a thin crust, totally unaware of what might be existing just beneath our feet. Number 7, chemtrails. If you ever look up in the sky and you see those white lines that planes leave, they're just harmless water vapor, right? Well, that's what they want you to think. Our seventh conspiracy theory, the chemtrails theory, has a much more sinister explanation. It claims that those long-lasting trails aren't normal contrails, but chemtrails being sprayed for a secret large-scale operation. The difference? Normal contrails are made of ice crystals, and in certain atmospheric conditions like high humidity and cold temperatures, these contrails can persist for hours, spreading out across the sky. But believers say these aren't just contrails. They point to patterns, to grids forming in the sky, and to planes that seem to leave behind streams that don't match the number of engines on the aircraft. The alleged reasons are as numerous as they are scary. Some say it's for weather modification or geoengineering, but others suggest much darker motives: psychological manipulation, population control, or even the dispersal of biological weapons. The core of this theory is the helpless feeling of being a test subject in a giant secret experiment, which we all know the government has done before. The very air we breathe could be a part of a program we were never supposed to know about, and it makes you wonder every time a plane flies over, what are they really spraying up there? Number 6, the Black Knight satellite. Our sixth theory is orbiting high above us, a dark, silent object that may have been watching humanity for a very, very long time. This is the story of the Black Knight satellite. The theory goes that there is an object of alien origin in a near-polar orbit around Earth, and the legend says it's been there for about 13,000 years. The story is a patchwork of strange events. It arguably started in 1899 when Nikola Tesla claimed to have detected repeating radio signals from space. Then, in 1954, newspapers reported that the U.S. Air Force found two objects orbiting Earth way before any country could launch a satellite. But the theory got its most famous piece of evidence in 1998, when a NASA photo from the STS-88 space shuttle mission showed a weird black angular object floating in orbit. NASA has since explained that the object was just a thermal blanket lost by an astronaut during a spacewalk. But for the believers, this is the Black Knight, an ancient alien probe. Its purpose? Nobody knows. Is it a guardian, a scout, or just a message in a bottle from a long-lost civilization? The thought of an unknown ancient satellite passing over our heads every night, its mission a total mystery, is really unsettling, and it suggests that we aren't, and maybe never have been, truly alone. Alright, so we're halfway through our descent into these weird, creepy conspiracy theories, but if you're fascinated by the unknown and want to keep exploring these shadows with us, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we post urban legends, conspiracy theories, deep dives into weird things, and that's all we do here. But now, let's continue on with the next 5 theories. Number 5, the Montauk Project. At number 5, we've got a theory so strange that it actually inspired the show Stranger Things. Welcome to the Montauk Project. The story claims that at Camp Hero, an old Air Force station out in Montauk, New York, the US government ran a series of terrifying and deeply unethical experiments. And we're not talking about simple studies, we're not talking about little things. The Montauk Project supposedly involved everything from psychological warfare and mind control to teleportation and even time travel. The theory mostly comes from the accounts of a man named Preston Nichols in the 1980s who said he recovered repressed memories of working there. He described horrific experiments on kidnapped children, the Montauk Boys, who were brainwashed into becoming psychic spies for the government. According to the story, it all came to a head in 1983 when the experiments ripped open a portal to another dimension. Things supposedly got so out of hand that the entire project had to be shut down violently and suddenly. But now, here's the reality. There's zero physical evidence that any of this occurred. No documents, no witnesses beyond Nichols and his associates, no records of missing children matching these claims. The government, of course, denies everything, and unlike other experiments we're going to talk about, no investigation has ever uncovered proof. But the abandoned and imposing radar tower at Camp Hero still stands, a silent monument to the dark stories that surround it. The Montauk Project is a chilling thought experiment on what horrors might be committed in the name of national security, even if they only exist in our imagination. Number 4, the Dyatlov Pass incident. Now, this one isn't so much a conspiracy as it is a somewhat solved, still mostly unsolved mystery that remained unsolved for decades, leaving behind a vacuum that's been filled with horrible speculation. In February of 1959, 9 experienced hikers from the Soviet Union went on an expedition into the Ural Mountains. They never came back. When a search party finally found their camp on a mountain named Dead Mountain, what they saw was horrifying. The hikers' tent had been sliced open from the inside. All of their supplies and warm clothes were left behind. The bodies found scattered all across the snow, some nearly a mile away from the camp. Most were barefoot and wearing only their pajamas in the middle of a brutal sub-zero Russian winter. The weirdest part? They had weird injuries. Some had clearly died of hypothermia, but others had suffered catastrophic internal trauma. One hiker had a crushed skull, 2 had shattered ribs, and another was missing her tongue, all without any external wounds or signs of a fight. There was no evidence of an avalanche, and there were no footprints in the snow, besides those of the hikers. The official Soviet investigation vaguely blamed the deaths on a compelling natural force. That explanation has never satisfied anyone. Theories range from secret military weapons tests to an attack by a creature like a Yeti. In 2020, scientists proposed that a rare type of delayed slab avalanche could explain both the internal energies and the lack of external trauma, but this theory remains debated. But the most chilling part of the Dyatlov Pass incident is that it's all true. 9 people fled their tent in a panic and died in violent, inexplicable ways. And while science may have provided some answers, the full truth of what happened in that night remains shrouded in mystery, and we'll never truly know. Number 3, MKUltra. Coming in at number 3 is a conspiracy theory that terrifyingly turned out to be completely real. Project MKUltra was the CIA's code name for a secret illegal program of human experiments that ran from 1953 into the 1970s. Their goal was the holy grail of spycraft: mind control. The agency was so desperate to develop drugs and techniques that could manipulate people's minds, force confessions, and maybe even create programmable sleeper assassins that they went forward with this project. To do this, the CIA ran over 130 different research programs, often secretly funneled through universities, hospitals, and prisons. They used every method you can imagine to try and break into a person's mind: hypnosis, sensory deprivation, psychological torture, and electroshock therapy. Most infamously, they dosed unwitting subjects with high amounts of psychedelic drugs, especially LSD. And these weren't enemy spies. They were American and Canadian citizens, CIA agents, soldiers, and most disturbingly, people from vulnerable parts of society, like mental patients and prisoners, who had no idea they were being used as test subjects. One former inmate, the notorious mob boss Whitey Bulger, was given LSD every day for over 15 months as part of these experiments at a federal prison in Atlanta. He later wrote about his horrific experiences, stating, "I was in prison for committing a crime, but they committed an even greater crime on me." He described experiencing intense paranoia, violent thoughts, and nightmarish hallucinations that he believed altered his mind permanently and may have contributed to his later violent crimes. The CIA, however, destroyed most of the records in 1973, but later investigations brought the program's existence into light. MKUltra isn't a theory. It's a confirmed part of our history that proves a government is capable of doing unthinkable things to its own people, right in the shadows. Number 2, Project Bluebeam. What if the single most profound event in human history was all an elaborate hoax? Our number 2 theory, Project Bluebeam, claims there's a plot to do exactly that. The theory was first laid out in 1994 by a Canadian journalist named Serge Monast, and it describes a 4-step plan by a shadowy global power, possibly involving NASA and the UN, to create a new world order. Step 1 would involve using technology to create artificial earthquakes, which would uncover fake archaeological sites designed to discredit all major religions. Step 2 is where it gets really wild: a gigantic holographic space show. The idea is that 3D holographic projections would be beamed into the sky all over the world to simulate the second coming of a Messiah. The figure would look different in different places, appearing as Christ or Buddha or any other religious deity, before ultimately uniting everyone under this new manufactured religion. Step 3 would use technology to beam thoughts directly into people's heads, making them believe God himself was talking to them. And the final step, to trigger a series of global catastrophes, some real, some simulated, to create so much chaos and panic that humanity would beg for a savior, willingly accepting the New World Order and its fake God. Now, it's important to note that Serge provided zero evidence for any of this. It was entirely speculative, but with modern advancements in things like holographic tech, drone swarms, and AI, what once sounded like a pure sci-fi movie now feels unnervingly possible. Project Bluebeam is the ultimate gaslighting, a plan to hijack both our faith and our fear to seize absolute control, and it might happen. Number 1, the dead internet theory. Finally coming in at number 1, we have a conspiracy for our time, one that suggests that the internet you think you're using, that vibrant human space, is already a graveyard. This is the dead internet theory. It proposed that sometime around 2016, the internet was almost entirely taken over by bots and artificial intelligence. The organic person-to-person web that we once knew, it's just a ghost. According to the theory, the vast majority of the content you see online, the articles, the social media posts, the comments, and even the memes, aren't made by people anymore. They're generated by AI. And these bots, they're designed to do one thing: farm for engagement. They create an endless feedback loop where bots talk to other bots to manipulate search results and to dictate what's trending. Some theorists predict that by 2030, as much as 99% of online content could be AI generated. And with things like Sora and other generative AIs that are becoming just widely available at people's fingertips, you can believe it. There's all kinds of things. There's scams going on where people are using deep fakes of Oprah and doctors and all these different people to sell scam products to boost engagement. There's AI influencers. I mean, even if I log on to my YouTube dashboard right now, I have an option to just auto respond to comments based on what the AI thinks it should say. But the theory gets even darker when you ask why. The strong version of the theory claims that the powerful state actors are using this bot-driven internet to manipulate public opinion on an unimaginable scale. By controlling the information you see and faking social consensus, they can slowly change how you think and what you believe. That viral trend, that heated online debate, that overwhelming wave of opinion, it could all be fake. What makes this theory so deeply creepy is that on some level, it feels true. Studies show that bot traffic now makes up 40 to 50% of all the internet's traffic. AI-generated content is exploding. The internet's getting weird, more repetitive, and less human. We might all be wandering through a digital cemetery, haunted by the ghost of AI without even realizing it. You know, 2 years from now, you might not be looking at humans like me talking on a screen. It might all be AI influencers, AI scripts that can post thousands of videos a day when we struggle to get out one a week. And it's terrifying. It's happened with AI music. AI music is taking over. And it's just a really scary thought, and we may have made a mistake with AI, but none of us realized it until it was too late now. From stolen centuries to a dead internet, these stories peel back the comfortable reality we know to show us something far more unsettling underneath. They're born from the shadows of government secrets, the glitches in our mind, and the persistent feeling that we're not being told the whole story. Whether they're just elaborate fictions or tiny glimpses into a hidden truth, they force us to question everything. They remind us that the world is far stranger and maybe far more terrifying than we can even imagine. The question that's left as you turn off this video and sit in the quiet darkness is this: which of these stories do you think might actually be true? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want to deep dive onto any of these theories instead of just a 2-minute pass over, let me know in the comments and I will do a full exploratory deep dive on them. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, like, subscribe, and check out my other videos like this one right here.